Tonight is October the 8th, 1985, and tonight we're interviewing the first woman council member in the history of the borough of Beavertown. In the past, we've had women ministers, women postmistresses, naturally women teachers, other women professionals, but June here is the very first council member on the borough council in the history of Beavertown. Now, June, why don't you start telling us something about yourself, when and where you were born, who your parents were, your schooling, your early youth activities, your graduation from high school, just to begin with.
Okay, well, my name is June Elizabeth Hartman, and I was born June the 25th, 1932, which makes me 53 years old this year. And I'm the daughter of Guy and Sarah Nairhood. And Guy, my father, he owned and operated Super Service Garage up until his death, and that was in 1957. He also had a Piper Cub airplane at one time, and then later on in years he had a Stinson airplane, which I recall, and my most vivid memories of that was my mother and I would usually get out of the garage at candy bars, soda drink, and so forth, and we'd go up to the hangar, and we'd set up a little booth in there, and we'd go on a Sunday afternoon, and that was his pride and joy, to go up there every Sunday afternoon and take people up for airplane rides. Now, to my knowledge, I think the airplane rides were like $1.50 or $2 for 15 minutes around the borough here of Beavertown, and he really enjoyed that. Now, since his death, my brother Kenneth Nairhood has operated the Super Service Garage, and he also had the airplane, and he had a pilot's license up until just a few years ago when his health permitted him not to fly the airplane anymore. So
now you went to school right here in Beavertown.
Yes, I graduated from Beaver Vocational High School in the class of 1950, and where the Beavertown Borough building is now, I went to grade school, and I recall having Margaret Kearns for my 7th and 8th grade teacher, which I felt quite an honor to have her.
And did you participated in the Girl Scouts?
Yes, I had been a member of the Girl Scouts, and I believe the Girl Scout leader was Teresa Edwards at that time.
Mrs. George Edwards. George was the manager of the silk mill up here, or superintendent of the silk mill.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Okay, and you graduated from Beaver Vocational in 1950, class of 50?
Yes.
And then you got married?
Then I got married a year later in 1951, July the 20th.
July the 20th, 1951, to Bobby Hartman.
To Bobby Hartman. And
he went into service?
He went into service, yes, for 2 years. He was over in Tokyo, Japan.
And they came back and was our very first borough policeman, or one of the very first.
Oh, he served about 3 months, yes.
As a borough policeman.
Borough policeman.
And then you, of course, had your family.
Yes, our first daughter, Bonnie, she was born February 1st, 1956. And now she's married to Michael Hogan. She got married September 4th, 1982. And she lives in Union Deposit in Harrisburg.
Do they have any children?
No, they don't have any children.
And your other child?
Now, the second daughter was born, and that was Melody. And she was born August the 10th, 1960. And she was married to Dan Powell on April 19th, 1979. Now, she lives in Dillsburg, and as of August the 2nd this year, she had her first child, which was our first grandchild, and it was a grandson named Ryan David.
How about that? Okay, now, in in your activities in the borough, over the years you were borough secretary, borough tax collector, you were secretary of the Beavertown Bicentennial Commission prior to your becoming councilwoman on the borough council. So you told me in a telephone conversation that your brother-in-law, Bob Edmondson, who was married to your sister, Velma, was on the borough council. Your dad had served on the borough council.
That's right, yes, that's right. In September of 1961 is when I started to be the borough secretary-treasurer up until December of 1977, which was 16 years and 3 months. But at that time, Curtis Hackenberg was the present secretary-treasurer, and my brother-in-law, Bob Edmiston, said, well, why don't you apply for the job? And I applied, and I got the job.
Back in 61, and you were in that until 77.
Yeah, 16 years and 3 months.
And then when did you apply, when did you run to be tax collector?
Well, that was later. That was, the tax collector was January of 78 to December of 81. That was just 4 years. Tax collector.
We have a little guest in the background here.
Yeah, he was on television.
Yeah. Now, you ran for how many terms?
Just one term as tax collector.
For a 4-year period?
Yeah, 4-year period.
And I know you became secretary of the Beavertown Bicentennial in 1975, and you still are, technically, because we're going on, and hopefully we're going to get ready for the tricentennial. We might not be around for it, but at least our organization is doing something, looking forward to the 300th birthday of our country, and at a minimum to the 100th birthday of the borough of Beavertown, which will occur on November the 14th, 2014. At that time, we have this vault in the ground. It will be dug up, and perhaps we can supply some money to have that stuff put on display. Now, then you were the tax collector and all these other positions in the borough.
Yeah, I was also the secretary for the Beavertown Municipal Authority.
That's correct. We put a sewer line in, and you were the secretary for that.
And that was like March of 74 to December of 77.
So you have quite an involved background. Your husband was a policeman, your dad was a borough council member, your brother-in-law was a borough council member, and you held all these offices, so it's not surprising that when we had a vacancy on the borough council, that they would approach you and ask you to serve.
That's right. There was like a 2-year term. One present member, Max Saylor, passed away, and then I guess there was a write-in, and then this write-in didn't want to take it, so they came and approached me and 5 or 6 other people, and then they took a vote, and I was very pleased to have them say that I was going to be the first councilwoman, because I was pleased to serve in that capacity.
Well, you certainly had the background for it.
Yes, I knew what was coming up, you know, from present past meetings, so I wasn't afraid to tackle the job.
No, you were at borough council meetings for 16 years or more.
Yeah, they met once a month, every month in the borough building, and I would have the minutes, I'd write the minutes, and I'd have to send out water bills, and I'd have to collect the water bills at my house. They'd send me the money, or they'd come in person. I had to write all their correspondence. Some wasn't so nice, but I had to do it. So.
And probably give press releases to the newspapers.
Yes.
So serving as a borough councilwoman was a lot easier than all the other stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, when were you actually appointed? What was the date?
Of the councilwoman?
Yes.
Well, January 1st of 1984.
Who swore you in?
Well, the mayor was Bill Kepner.
And he administered the oath of office and swore you in.
Yes, he swore.
And unfortunately, we know that your plan for the future is to move to Florida.
That's right.
So you will be resigning your position.
Yes. Tonight, in fact, is the last borough council meeting I will be attending. But the next Tuesday night is the regular budget meeting, and I still will be attending that, but then that will be the last for me, because we will be moving to near Titusville, Florida, near Cape Canaveral, Cape Kennedy. So we intend to move into our new house the end of October.
And you will resign effective when?
Well, probably tonight as far as the council goes, and then there will be only one other meeting, that's a budget meeting. So as far as resigning from the council, it'll be probably tonight.
Well, that's too bad, but you certainly have given an awful lot of service to the borough of Beavertown all through the years, and we're so delighted that you would grant us this interview this evening. So we can only wish you the very best, and hopefully you'll still come back and visit
yes,
with us from time to time.
I'm a history buff, so
yeah, well, we'll keep you apprised of what's going on.
Okay.
Now I have to excuse myself and go over here.
All right.
So we'll say so long, and thank you very much for your interview.
Yes, thank you, Bill. It's been a pleasure.